There's a part of Toronto where time feels like it's standing still. Winding streets, century homes that back onto ravines, and trails that weave through the forest. That is Rosedale, and today I'm going to be telling you about why it is one of the most unique neighborhoods in the city. Rosedale is one of those neighborhoods you probably heard of, but maybe never even seen or been through. Rosedale is a neighborhood that sits just northeast of downtown Toronto. It's bordered to the north by the CP rail track by Summerhill Market, and then to the south by Rosedale Valley Road, and then to the east by Bayview, and to the west by Yonge Street. But if you walk its streets, it doesn't feel like Toronto at all. The houses are hidden behind trees and manicured hedges. The streets end in crescents and ravines, and the neighborhood itself feels fully enclosed and detached from Toronto. And because of that, it is just so incredibly peaceful. This is a pocket of the city where everything is still, and it's been that way for a long time. Rosedale's story goes back to the early 1800s with a guy named William Botsford Jarvis. He was basically one of Toronto's early government guys, and yes, that's Jarvis as in Jarvis Street. Now, Jarvis was the local sheriff. Now, not like a cowboy sheriff, but he was responsible for managing stuff in the local area, like the land, official documents, and any legal stuff, really. And back then, this whole area that we now call Rosedale was part of his estate. Now, the land was given him to the crown because the crown back then just gave land to anyone who was wealthy, prominent, and had connections. It was then his wife who came up with the name Rosedale for the area because of all the wild roses that grew down in the ravines and in the wooded areas of the neighborhood. And then eventually Jarvis ran out of money, so he sold 100 acres of his land to his nephew. His nephew then subdivided that land so that homes could be built on it, and he created the area's first roads: Avondale, Rosedale Crescent, South Drive, and Park Road. Then Jarvis eventually died in 1864, and he owed tons of money. So his kids, in order to pay off his debt, then sold the rest of the land off, which then got bought up and subdivided to build more homes on. Now, the area itself is surrounded by ravines and creeks, so they couldn't really do much and had to stay within the natural shape of the land when building, which is why the area has these winding roads, irregular lots, and so many homes that just back onto ravines. It gives the whole area this kind of quiet, tucked away feeling, and that's what made Rosedale one of Toronto's first garden suburbs. Basically, the idea was to create a neighborhood that felt more like a park than a neighborhood in a city, with winding roads, big front yards, and homes surrounded by green space. You could basically live in this nature oasis, but still be close to downtown. And honestly, since they created Rosedale as the first ever garden suburb in Toronto, over 100 years later, the vibe really hasn't changed that much, and Rosedale still is that garden suburb, quiet, tucked away neighborhood. Now, something that makes Rosedale really special, personally to me, is all of its green space. And I'm not just talking about parks like this that are scattered throughout the neighborhood, little parkettes where you can sit and there's lots of big mature trees, but its trail system that run through the ravines. The area is home to deep valleys and streams that are part of Toronto's urban ravine network, which is actually the largest urban ravine network in the world. And there are two main streams, Mud Creek and Yellow Creek. They're on either side of the neighborhood, on the east and west side, and they both flow into the Don River. These deep ravines and flowing rivers that surround the neighborhood are why the area has the character and shape that it does. The ravines are full of winding, shaded trails and are one of the best places in the city to run, walk, or even just disappear for a bit. It's my favorite place to come for a trail run. The trails aren't as intense and technically challenging as, say, the trails by Sunnybrook, Taylor Creek, or sections off the Don Trail, but it is, I think, the most beautiful. And on a hot summer day, I love running up the trail from that direction. I'll come up Bayview, go to Brickworks, and then run up here. It's a little incline, so you get a sweat on, and then I love coming down one of the ravines and getting down to Yellow Creek here. I'm not really wearing the appropriate attire to do that right now. If I went down there, I'd probably get stuck. But yeah, it's beautiful. I just go on those rocks, you can stand there. In the winter, it is gorgeous here. And yeah, you can just climb down there, no one will see you there, and just take in the nature and sit and listen to the water. And then even just across from where I'm standing, you can see there's a little house there. And yeah, backing right onto the ravine here. There are multiple ways to access the trails through Milkman's Lane off South Drive, from the foot of Mount Pleasant at Roxborough Drive, or right at Moore Ave in Mount Pleasant Cemetery. There's a crosswalk, and then the trail goes down into Moore Park Ravine and leads you to Brickworks. The home base pretty much for all these trails, though, is Brickworks, a former quarry and brick factory that used Mud Creek to power its operations. After it closed in the 1980s, it sat vacant until Evergreen transformed it in the early 2000s into a thriving community space. Now, it's home to farmers markets, environmental workshops, art events, gardening programs, and a little cafe. It also has its own little trail system where you can look for turtles and fish swimming in the water. And I mean, Brickworks is really the most amazing green space trail system education program in Toronto. Walking through Rosedale can feel like a bit of a maze. The winding streets, the dead ends, the streets that just turn you right around, and the ravines that just separate different parts of the neighborhood can make it a bit confusing. All the streets basically just shoot off of the only two roads that run north-south the length of the entire neighborhood, which is Glen Road and Mount Pleasant Road. Mount Pleasant is a bit to the west, Glen Road is more centered, so most of the streets run off of Glen Road, and it's kind of the main through street through the area. Now, because of the ravines that I mentioned, right behind me is where the neighborhood drops off in one section. It's a big ravine there, and then behind me are the homes that sit on top of the ravine. And so Glen Road, which runs almost the full length north-south, has two key sections where there are bridges to get over these ravines. The first bridge is the Glen Rd Bridge. The bridge takes you over Yellow Creek, so this is the western part of the loop from the trail system I was talking about. See people running down there. Look at that gorgeous, gorgeous view. So down that way is the southern part of the Rosedale neighborhood, and then this is the valley that separates northern part of Rosedale from the southern part of Rosedale, and is where Yellow Creek runs through. And this is the Glen Rd Bridge that gets you across from North Rosedale to South Rosedale. Then the second bridge is right where Rosedale ends. So this is the southern border of the Rosedale neighborhood, and this is the Glen Rd Pedestrian Bridge, which was demolished in 2021 and just completed less than a month ago after numerous delays. You can see that we're right over Rosedale Valley, and you can see the traffic that goes up Rosedale Valley from Bayview to Park Road, and you can see the St. James Towers over there. And so you can take the ramp here up to Bloor, or you can take the stairs here to head up to Bloor, and they even give you one of those little fancy bike thingies to walk your bike up. Hopefully nobody steals my bike as I walk up this. It's okay, I can catch them, I'm a fast runner. And then you end up on Bloor. This is the bridge from Bloor Street. So that is Rosedale, Rosedale Valley, and Bloor right where I am. Then as we head back down, your other option is to go under this tunnel, and you end up where Glen Road ends in St. Jamestown. And you have Sherburne Station and St. Jamestown. Back into the heart of the Rosedale neighborhood, and no matter where you go, you'll see stunning brick homes, manicured hedges, and barely any people. You'll just hear the sounds of your own footsteps, birds chirping, and there really is no other place in the city quite like it. Now, because of the history that I mentioned that the Rosedale area has, the neighborhood is entirely protected through preservation policies. The main one being that the area is designated as a heritage conservation district, just like Cabbagetown to the south, which I've also made a neighborhood video on. So with the heritage conservation district, if you want to make any changes to the home or area that would affect the area's heritage, you need to get a heritage permit. Now, a lot of people do think that this means that the area is completely safe from development, but that's not true. And that's because a lot of people look at Cabbagetown as an example of a heritage conservation district, but it's not a good example to show that development doesn't happen, because development doesn't happen there because I think they just have someone on their side in city council, because there's literally zero development there ever. But looking at Rosedale, there have been a few developments in the area. The most prominent one is 7 Dale Ave right behind me, a luxury condo boutique building with just 26 units backing on to the Rosedale Valley Ravine. It was completed in 2023, but to build it, they needed to demolish 3 heritage buildings. So as you can imagine, in a neighborhood like this, there was quite a ruckus. There were petitions started, fights at city council, and lawn signs put up to promote everything against it. So city council went back and forth with the developer for years, but eventually got approved, obviously as you can see behind me, and built anyways. There are 2 smaller projects as well, 31 Sherburne Street North and 396 Summerhill Ave, both of which are modest rental builds and add on to existing properties, so they're relatively minor in scale in terms of development. So yes, Rosedale has extensive history. It's a heritage conservation district and is protected. But as you can see, not completely off limits. Development still happens here, just very quietly. Not as quietly as other parts of the neighborhood, Cabbagetown, but definitely much quieter than Toronto itself as a whole. Homes here are in high demand. It's one of the most desirable places to live in Toronto, and once people move here, they tend to stay here for a long time. You might find a smaller detached home on a 20 to 22 foot narrow lot for $1.5 million, but that's about the lowest entry point you'll see. Most entry homes are around $2 to $3 million. The average sale price in the neighborhood has been hovering just at $4 million over the past year. And it's not just the price, it's the supply as well. There simply aren't that many homes here. Looking at sales activity over the past few years, around 42 to 59 homes are selling a year. The area's peak was in 2014 to 2016 when right around 100 homes would be selling a year. For condos, there are a few at the southern edge of Rosedale by Bloor and along the Mount Pleasant area, but they're quite old buildings and they're priced at $1,000 or even less than $1,000 a square foot, which is quite low, especially given the area and its prestige and its price point. But again, it's because those condo buildings are quite old and some of them are even co-op apartments. And if you're not sure what that is, you can check out my video on co-op buildings, and these are actually for-profit co-op buildings. So you can check out that section and see what they are. The one expensive condo building in the neighborhood is 7 Dale Ave, the luxury boutique condo that I was mentioning earlier. It's brand new and completely different, and with its exclusivity of only 26 units and being so high-end, it's priced well over $2,500 a square foot, making it one of the most expensive condos in the city aside from the premier addresses in Yorkville. 7 Dale is the only new condo building to get built in the neighborhood, and the contrast in prices between this condo and the older condo buildings in the area just shows you how locked down the neighborhood is, how protected it is, and how frozen in time Rosedale is. Rosedale is close to everything, but it feels far from it all. The streets are peaceful, the homes are timeless, and the ravines, trails, and forests make it feel like you're somewhere else entirely different. It's not flashy, it's not fast-paced, and it's definitely not affordable for most people. But that's kind of the point. Rosedale has always been about exclusivity, quiet, and privacy, and keeping things the way they are. Whether you're here to admire the stunning architecture, enjoy the nature and trails, or just get out of the noisy city, there's nowhere in Toronto quite like it. This video is part of my neighborhood series. You can check out other neighborhood tours in the playlist, which is linked below, or you go to my channel and go to playlists, and it should also pop up on the screen here. If you're looking to move to this area, I hope you found this video helpful in your research. And if you're looking to move to other neighborhoods in Toronto, check out my other neighborhood videos, or contact me directly and I'd be happy to help you with Rosedale and any other neighborhoods in the core of Toronto. My contact info is in the description of all my videos, so you should have no trouble reaching out to me. Thanks for watching, and I'm currently working on the ultimate guide to moving to Toronto, and I'll cover different neighborhoods where you should live based on lifestyle, and I'm going to do 2 different ones, one for houses and one for condos. So while I hope you enjoy this neighborhood tour, the neighborhood tours are very niche to the specific neighborhood, of course, and so if you want something more generic that covers everything and is basically an ultimate guide, that is in the works and is coming your way soon, hopefully. And so I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next neighborhood.